Yes, everyone, thank you for joining us. Thought I would do a live this afternoon. I can't believe the amount of rubbish I have read this weekend over me not doing a live reaction to a match that for several hours I hadn't even seen. Bonkers. As some of you may or may not know, Stretford Paddock kicked off at 3 o'clock this weekend. Exactly the same time United kicked off, and it wasn't on telly, so I couldn't even just like set it to record at my house and watch it later, which is something I've done in the past. And I try and get a review done as and when I can. 2 weeks ago at Everton, I went to the game. I left on the 85th minute, got to the training ground, did a live before or after I've done my team talk, and then went out and coached myself for a 3 o'clock kickoff after we kicked off early. As and when I can, I will always try and do a review. Aside from that, I also do 6 days a week in work. And Sunday was my only day off. And I have staff, and my staff need days off as well. And everyone had a day off yesterday. So I wasn't coming in on my only day off to come and talk about the match. The immediate reaction's usually what works, and I wasn't around to do the immediate reaction. I would normally do a 5 things. I've done a few 5 things at the ground before and done them before we leave. But again, not seen the game. And I don't know about you. I'm not prepared to have an opinion on something that I haven't seen. That's literally the definition of being uninformed, isn't it? And if anything, I do anything in my life, I try to be informed about what I do. And you may agree with what I say, you may disagree with what I say, but I generally like to think that I'm pretty informed on what I do. And yes, I've made the chat members only. You'll be able to leave a comment and ask questions after the video has finished. But as a few of you may know or may not know, I've been really struggling with my own mental health. I'm having therapy at the moment, and Twitter's a bad place. And often YouTube comments are a bad place. So to mitigate that, I've made it members. And it'd probably be saying like this on a few live videos going forward. And if you don't like it, you can always fuck off and not watch. How's that? So let's talk about the game at weekend a little bit then. So I did watch the game, and I made some notes as I was watching the game. And one of the things that I did notice, sadly, was there's a lot of issues, to be honest. One of the things that I noticed was playing out was very poor. 4-4-2 out of possession, 4-2-4 in possession, big gaping holes in midfield, not enough angles. One of the things with 4-4-2 is it's very flat. It's doesn't have a lot of depth to it, and that's one of the major issues with it. We didn't press, which might be a symptom of having Cristiano Ronaldo in the team and trying to find a way to get the best out of him being in the team. That's something United have to overcome, because his talent and goal scoring ability is something that you can mitigate, and you can allow Ronaldo to cheat. You can't do that to everyone. Ronaldo, you certainly can. But then you got to make sure that other people are going to pick the work up for him. I did a video the other week looking at the sort of balance and makeup of the squad, and I thought we were overstacked in a certain area and really understacked in another area, and I thought that was going to bite us in the arse unless Ole can come up with something that's going to really start to get into that. But I'll get into that properly later on. That's another topic I want to touch on. I want to try to focus on this. The Tielemans goal is a joke, and I think the Tielemans goal encapsulates this entire match. This match was a case of structure and systems and players not actually doing what they're meant to do in these situations. So there was individual mistakes, but there's also structural errors that the coaching staff have to take responsibility with that for as well. Now, the finish from Tielemans is disgusting, and it's as good a goal as you're going to see, and he is a player that is as good as you're going to see. I'm a big fucking Tielemans fan. I would love to switch out Tielemans and Ndidi for McTominay and Fred. I think United would be sensational with that. Now, Maguire makes a mistake, and De Gea does not help. Now, my first note that I made in the first couple of minutes of the game was how bad we are playing out. This has been the case for several years. And Ross in the comments there. So if you are a member, get your questions in, and I'll definitely answer all of those questions. Maguire was worst performance I've seen in a United shirt from Ross, and I'd probably echo that as well, to be honest. And it wasn't just that; it was several things. I've just filmed Vibe with Five, and I meant to ask Rio about something very specific, and I forgot. But I'll put it to you guys now and see what you guys think. When you're playing out, in fact, let's go into football theory a little bit here. Do you know why teams play out? Any of you guys that are members in there, do you know why teams play out and keep it on the floor when playing out? It might take a bit too long for some of you guys to answer, but one of the reasons that you play out, or let's say my team plays out. So why do we play out? You are guaranteed to overload the opposition when you play out. Right, so football is a game of spaces, and it's trying to find a 2v1 somewhere or a 3v2, trying to overload a team where you've got more men than they've got in a certain area. Sometimes you might stack to one side, you might try and overload the middle. Pep Guardiola's a big fan of whatever you put in midfield, he'll put one more. It's trying to have an extra man. Now, because the opposition's never going to bring their keeper up to the halfway line, and if they do, send me that tape because I want to see that game. Because the opposition keeper's always going to be in his goal, they're only going to have 10 in your half if they go man-to-man. So you will always be able to play it around. Now, it's not as simple as that, but that is the general philosophy behind this, that you will always have enough people to be able to play the ball around. Generally, when playing out from the back, having an extra man is a bonus. Having 2 extra man, you should be able to cope with whatever. Stretford Paddock play out from the back. We're getting pretty good at it. We have a call of 20 passes, and that's what we're looking to do, is to try and start moving the opposition around. Something magic happens at 20 passes. The opposition stops pressing. You can't chase forever, so you start to conserve your energy naturally. And something else happens after 20 passes. After you've made 20 passes, because you're calm and relaxed and in control of the ball, and you're popping it around nicely and you're moving into these different positions, you can get your head up. And that's the most important thing in football, is that you can start to get your head up. And the players start to take nice positions, and they'll drop into this little bit of a space here. They'll collect the ball. They'll pass it back to him. But that guy, let's say I'm playing at centre-half. I'm taking it from my right centre-half. I'm left-footed, so I'm left centre-half. I'm taking it from my right centre-half. I'm going to play it my left-back. I'm going to peel off a little bit, give him a bit of space. He's going to play it back. I'm going to play it back to this centre-half because I know where he is. My sixers come short. I'll play it him. He'll play me back. Oh, cool. And we can do this literally all day. We did it in training a couple of weeks ago. I set the lads a target. I actually said I'd get them a McFlurry if they could do it to 50. Not only did they do it to 50, they got to 80. We did 80 uninterrupted passes in training, playing a full 11 against our reserve and under-21 side. 80 passes. That's hard to do. It takes a lot of confidence and a lot of time to do it. And we got there. We did 80. And after that 20 or so passes, gaps start to open up. Players start to drift off. The opposition starts to really focus on the ball. They lose this guy that they're marking, and you start to carve teams open. And that's why you play out. Now, Manchester United played out against Leicester when Tielemans scored, and Tielemans, when Tielemans scored, it was a 4v2. Pogba's dropped in deep. You've got both the centre-halves and you've got the goalkeeper. The fullbacks have pushed up high. That's always a good thing. You get them a little bit further up the pitch. Maguire, Lindelof, Pogba and David De Gea are 4 capable footballers that should be able to play against 2 pressing strikers. Literally, 3v2 is easy to keep the ball. 4v2, there's 2 spare men. You can literally go 2v1 on both of those players. You should be able to take the piss out of them, really. On the carpet, that is the King Power Stadium. So, for me, that was a massive error in the inability to be able to do so. Now, when they lose the ball, I think Pogba makes initially the correct decision in getting to the back line, because you always want to go back to work back out. He makes the correct decision in terms of going to the back line. Perhaps Matic is in the wrong position. It probably would have been Pogba if we'd have lost it in a different sequence of play. But Pogba, I think, makes the correct decision, and maybe someone else should have been a little bit tighter to Tielemans as he's drifted into that sort of space. And then he's hit it probably when no one's expected him to hit it, and it's flown in. Then you've got to look at things like the second goal. Now, Maguire's there. He's getting a blame. Would you stand still there? This is the question that I had for Rio. Would you stand still there? I think if you all close your eyes and you all think about every level of football that you've played at, as soon as a set piece has come, as soon as that first ball has been dealt with, touched, initiated, however, as soon as that first ball has happened, the second ball is massive, right? You've always got to try and compete for the second ball. But the one thing that you're taught from toddler age is to clear your lines, is to get out. Now, in the days of VAR, you getting your ass out is so much more key that I'm disappointed more teams, more players, and certainly Manchester United haven't really picked up on this. Because in the advent of VAR, with every single goal going to be checked for offside, clear your lines. There's no need to be like, well, what if the ref doesn't see this? They're going to see it. And Maguire ends up standing still and playing, it's Soyuncu onside, isn't it? And I just think it's an unnecessary position. There's a lack of a challenge. It just, for me, was basic. You got to clear those lines. And I think that's the top and bottom of it. We're poor at set pieces. I don't know if we're trying to be too fancy having a set piece coach. I don't know what the script is. Oliver Edwards in the comments says, what do I think about the set pieces conceded? I think the fact De Gea plays means teams set up differently from set pieces. I think he was bad despite his saves. I know what I disagree. I think we would literally me and Ronaldo were just talking about this just now, talking about De Gea's shot stopping, especially when United are poor. He's elite. It's absolutely sensational. De Gea's not going to come out and claim those balls. Excuse me. That's just not in his nature. Maybe Dean Henderson would, maybe another goalkeeper at United would do, but or certainly other goalkeepers in the league would do. You may have a point on that. I don't actually know the answer to that. And Oliver's then said, is it just me who would like to see a front three of James, Ronaldo, and Sancho or Rashford? Well, considering James is gone, you're probably not going to see that, I don't think. Abraham, who's just joined as a member, cheers for that, my mate, said, I'm more upset with the outrage on social media than the actual loss. I just finished our game. We won 4-3. If you've not seen that game, I urge you to go check the Stretford Paddock game out on Stretford Paddock FC channel. What a game it was. We went 2-0 down. Perhaps unluckily, but we went 2-0 down. We managed to pull it back to 3-2 ahead. Then we gave a penalty away. They made it 3-3 with 80 on the clock. And then we scored a winner in injury time. And I've just come in buzzing, literally just seen my team go do that. Delighted with the performance and the attitude. I've just popped on social media, and I'm getting abuse because United have lost, and that's partially why I've made this a members only stream, because I'm just not taking it anymore. It's not what I'm here for. I like to think I have a decent discussion with people, but if it's abusive, you can fuck off. Carl Hagan says, love the channel, Steve. Forget the hate. It's just football at the end of the day and life goes on. Mind yourself. I'll see you in Dublin. We are going to be doing a members and Patreon meetup in Dublin at some point. We just got to sort out when we can do that. We were thinking about doing it next month, but it's probably unlikely to happen, I think, now. Ross says, yeah, we conceded another set-piece goal. Have a set-piece coast, but we haven't really scored from one yet, and now we look likely to concede more goals from the set-pieces than we ever did before. It might just be him getting the changes in. Nothing's ever going to just instantly work like that, is it? It's sometimes it's difficult for these changes to really start impacting it and having a real positive effect. It's difficult, I think. Oh, by the way, I have got a Patreon video dropping as well. I recorded it in the car this morning. I'll send that over to you guys very shortly, actually. I've been in meetings back to back all morning. I'd have probably dropped back to the goal line, says Oliver. That's an option, to be fair. Yeah, being in that no man's land behind the line and in front of the keeper's not really doing anybody good, is it? The Maguire performance is, Abraham says, the Maguire performance is more reminiscent of Spurs' performance last season. It's interesting. Abhinav says, just pissed off that it's basic errors that's costing us. It's not even some complex patterns of play that cost us. Often that's it. It is a margins game at the end of the day, and the margins are so fine. I mean, we would have had a trophy to our name if we'd have had one penalty save out of however many it was. in the Europa League final. So, these are the margins that we are dealing with. And the margins in the Premier League this season in particular, they're paper thin. Ross, thoughts on Leicester's third goal? Because that really annoyed me, the amount of space Vardy gets us to go. Yeah, I think by the time that one goes in and then the final goal goes in, I feel like United had given up at that point, which isn't a good place to be in. And this does feel different to the Anfield result under Jose. This just feels like weird errors. It doesn't feel like the players aren't playing for Solskjaer. And I still have more points, actually, I wanted to get to on that. I'll go back to those after I've finished answering some of these questions. It doesn't feel like this is the end, but it does feel like we need to put a stop to this and fix something. And that might mean somebody that you don't expect getting dropped or something. Because we have got, we're doing the prep now for Atalanta, and that's going to be a hell of a game. Oliver says, I think the fact that he's a keeper means he can touch the ball with his hands makes him about 7-8 foot tall. And if a player beats him in the air, then fair play. Yeah, it doesn't happen often, does it, that someone can beat a keeper like that? But you would want to see your keeper coming out and getting his hands on those sorts of things. Seamus, Adrian, and Yash, welcome to the membership. And Yash got a question. It says, Pogba off the ball is so good for France, but don't see the same at United. Yes. Brian Maloney says, Liverpool hired 2 neuroscientists who specialise in set pieces this season. They're now the best team in the league for set pieces. Check the Athletic. That's what the what's it said? That's what the Athletic is very good for, actually. Good, sensible articles like that. None of the trash that you get in the red tops. It is worth having an Athletic membership just for those sorts of things alone. There was a decent article in there this morning, actually, which is well worth a read about United's patterns and how they were poor. And there's a lot of people just immediately jumping on. This is why Brendan Rodgers should manage United. And you're like, Jesus, look at Leicester's form this season. Jesus Christ. They're the same as we are. Andy Knight was at the game, 4 poor goals. Sometimes you have a nightmare and it happens. I was more worried about the lack of running off the ball. The lack of pressing was a problem, wasn't it? It was a problem. And I don't think you're going to get Ronaldo to press, which means that you have to flip him somehow. I don't know what you do with that. I really don't. As much as we all want United to play attacking football, we need to go back to basics and sort out defensive errors, win midfield battles and tackles, says Aaron. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think United do generally play attacking football. I think we're not great in the build-up, and we're certainly not great playing out. In fact, we're shit playing out, that's all right. But there are things. Now, actually, you just reminded me. I'll just pause on the questions for a second. Keep getting your questions in. And so one of the things I did want to touch on, obviously, they've got the squad in balance, but the issues on the pitch. So I spoke about this on Vibe with 5, so I won't go into too much detail on this one necessarily, but I think me and Rio watched the game at the same time. We both didn't watch it live, and we both managed to catch it on catch-up, and I think he was about half an hour ahead of what I was when we managed to get a download of it and watch it back. When United were attacking, I didn't see the team structure. So obviously when we're playing out, and again, this 100%, this is on both actually. It's a little bit on the players, but it's certainly on the management structure, because if they're not doing what you want, you fuck them off. When United are attacking, United attack with a very narrow free. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Stretford Paddock play the same thing. I have a very narrow free. But what I do is I get the fullbacks to provide the width. The fullbacks are in that channel at the side of the boxes. And they can provide crosses, they can provide bounce options, they can provide a recycle of possession. But those are players there to start stretching the defence. So what you're trying to do, as I said, football is a dance around space, right? You control the space and you exploit the space. That's the two things that you do with space. When you have a winger on the right who inverts and a winger on the left who inverts, and a number 10 that thinks he's a number 9, you've got 4 players basically around the D. You know how easy that is to mark? To stop a ball coming into that area. You've just got to stop the ball coming into one area. You've not got to stop the ball going all over the pitch. And then after I watch United, I watch City. And I look at Manchester City and I see players making selfless runs. Going getting the touchline paint on their boots. Going standing there waiting for the ball to come towards them. Getting wide. Being in those sorts of zones. Waiting for a bounce. Waiting for a defender to come to them. Dragging people out of position creates the space. When you can defend narrow, Rio mentions this in a little on Vibe with Five, so check that out at tea time. When they're all condensed in, very easy to defend. Do we need help in coaching? Someone like Rene to help out some of the newer ideas, says Adrian. I think Rene was a technical coach. I'm not sure what tactics Rene delivered. He was very much a technical ability coach. Maybe that's missing. From what I've heard from players, Kieran is a tactical genius. Now, obviously, I go, don't know about that. I don't see the evidence of that, but from what I can gather, the players are quite happy with Kieran. And Michael Carrick provides a little bit of the arm around the shoulder and some technical guidance and things like that. So I don't necessarily know if that you do need that. In my feeling, you've got an extremely experienced assistant coach. And obviously, you can think what you want of the Norwegian league. Ole took a team that had never won it and won the league with them and then retained it. There's talent in that. And you can argue about what it means translated to other leagues, but that it's still taking a group of players, getting them together, getting them to play into a system and then do whatever. You've also got to look at what Ole managed to do, which is the other two managers couldn't do, which is get the consecutive top four finishes. Now, yes, he didn't win trophies, and that is a down mark for him, but he got the two top four finishes, which evidence proves is what the Glazers are asked about. That is all they're asked about. They got rid of Louis van Gaal. Let's go back. They got rid of Moyes when Champions League football was mathematically impossible. Out the door. They got rid of Louis after he's won the FA Cup, but we didn't finish inside the Champions League places. They got rid of Jose after he managed to qualify for the Champions League twice. He did it once by winning Europa League and once by finishing second. But then after that, it fell apart after he didn't get the signings that he wanted. And United looked on course to finish not just outside the top four, but possibly not even inside the top 8. Got a bullet. Now, if it looks the same for Ole, he will get the same. I don't think there's any special treatment for Ole coming. He's in the job. I mean, I saw people saying he got to get rid of him after the Europa final that we didn't win. Disappointed that we didn't win. Should he have won it? Yeah. Should he get the sack for not winning it? Well, no. That's some serious entitled behaviour that I can't compute. But he should have won. He should have won the Europa League, and that is a blot on his copybook. He needs to deliver trophies. But realistically, like it or not, he needs to stay inside the top 4 to keep his job. Now, we might not win anything this season. I don't think they'll sack him if we get top 4. He could win the Champions League. Man, if he wins the Champions League, he's not getting sacked. He could do what Louis did, though. Come 5th and win the FA Cup, and he'll get sacked. Now, people will go, well, we won a trophy. Yeah, cool. I think they'll sack him. So for him to stay in a job, that's what he needs to do. He needs to stay. He needs to keep delivering Champions League football for the football team. Now, the issues that I'm seeing on the pitch, the structure in attack, the structure in midfield, the structure building out, these are things I expect the management to deal with. They haven't had a lot of time on the training ground, but they can't use that as an excuse. They've got to now get a grip of this football team, decide how they want to play, and start executing it and working towards that. Because we've had a little bit of a flow from being a very, very deadly counter-attacking team to being a team that looks like it was trying to hold possession. And if you look at Maguire as a encapsulation of this, Maguire in his first season, when we were a counter-attacking side, beautiful, superb, sensational. Then we looked like we were trying to hold possession, which meant that he's got to play a slightly higher line, and his performances individually didn't look as assured. Different skill set that he's been required to deal with. And that looks like it's carried on into this season in a big way. Doesn't look great in the slightest. So I think United have to decide and be honest with ourselves. Can we actually be a possession-based team? My gut feeling is no. Not with Fred and McTominay as our primary midfield too. Now, I'm really disappointed that we didn't do better at weekend. For starters, because we didn't do better at weekend, but also because I was really keen on seeing Matic and Pogba as a midfield too. To me, they're two players that can hold on to possession and progress the ball up the pitch, and that's what I want to see from United. I want to see us be confident in possession. It didn't work. For whatever reason, maybe the the positioning of Bruno has a bit to play in that. If you go and check the Athletic article out from earlier, you'll see exactly on that. His position is dreadful. And I think that could be a factor in that. The team selection, I don't think he's got right a few times. And obviously that squad imbalance. Now, I did see, do you know what? I mentioned it on Vibe with 5, so just watch it on that. The whole argument about Sir Alex Ferguson's CV and all the rest of that sort of thing. Go check it out on Vibe with 5. I'll see some of the questions you guys have got. Abdulaziz says, I see the problem in reducing Mike Phelan's role after the Europa League final. As we started the season, we're not stable. Pogba's contract renewal, as he's the only one to question Ole. Pogba's contract needs a deadline on it, and I personally, not that it matters, but, you know, because who am I? But I'd say if I was United, I want this dealt with by the end of next month. You're not getting into December and January while this is still a thing. You make a decision and you will sit on the bench for the remainder of the season if you're not going to sign up for a new contract. You've got to be that strong. Simple as that. Mike Phelan's role after the Europa League final. I mean, we spoke to him in the summer, but I don't know what changed in his role, to be honest with you. Hostad's welcome to the channel. Yash says, Matic was cutting off the cutbacks in the first half where Vardy was lurking, and the tracking back from Pogba for the third goal was McTominay covering up for a Wan-Bissaka error was shambolic. Yeah, like I said, I think we'd give up a little bit by that third goal. It felt all over the place, didn't it? Ollie says, I was at the 23s that day and Alvaro Fernandez set up all 3 goals. It's a shame he's not eligible to play in the Champions League because I'd like to see him given a chance with 12 on the bench. Ethan Laird's doing a madness still at Swansea. I don't know when the time is to bring Ethan Laird into the mixer, but I would like to see us do it. Safir, welcome to the channel. And Dan MUFC says, still love the content. Keep it up. If Ollie doesn't win the next 2 games with Atalanta, we'll be out of the job. Atalanta and Liverpool, I mean, there's a very strong chance he doesn't win both of those games, to be honest with you. No, I don't think he will. I think this 6 weeks is minging. But no, I don't think he would. Hostad, sorry if you covered this already, but not necessarily his fault. Feel like I'm the only one at my mates that sees Shaw defensive position is still poor. I think he did get good last season, but I think this season he's really fell back. I don't know how much of this is a Euros hangover, and I think that's a real thing for some players. But I think there's something in that. Yeah, I don't think he's looked good this season. I don't know how much that's not having Marcus in front of him. You know, someone that he knows how to play and he knows the runs of. How typical would it be if we slap Atalanta for 5 now? Yeah, I agree. I don't know why you had question marks over Shaw's defending. He's been bad. Here's the thing. People don't watch enough and there's such a bandwagonism. I mean, Donny van der Beek's the saviour at the moment, isn't he? With zero evidence of it. It's insane. Oliver says, Sancho's one of the 4 players to cost 72 million. Havertz, Kepa and Pepe. 3 out of 4 performed very well in finals in their first season, but weren't great before that. That's interesting. Never thought of that. Srinivas, sorry, has just joined. Thank you. Do I think Eric Bay will leave in January? I think there's a lot of players that probably need to really consider what they're doing. And Bay's got to be one of those. I'm surely Phil Jones has got to be another one of those. Seamus says, after the bile over the weekend, refreshing to have a balanced and mature view on the recent trouble. Keep it up, Stephen. My pleasure, mate. And that's literally why I've made it members only on the chat today. Because I just can't have nonsense. It's just insane, and it's so hard to deal with. Ross says, I think we might see Rashford, Greenwood, Ronaldo in attack on the weekend against Liverpool. I thought this for a couple of weeks now. I think he'll revert back to Pogba playing on the left, Rashford on the right, and Ronaldo down the middle. That's what I think it's going to be. I think we have to sign someone for Bay to leave. Not sure. I agree with the Shaw thing, says Srinivas. Help me out, mate. How about a back 5? If he was going to switch to a back 5 permanently, if you look at the video that I did, what was it called? What's Wrong with United? A couple of weeks ago, where we looked at 4 different formations United could and maybe should use. The 3 at the back's not a terrible option, in all honesty. And I think it solves some issues where you could probably play Pogba and McTominay without the need for an extra midfield in there, because you're going to have the extra coverage in defence. Ole has played and been successful with a back three at Molde before, and he's also done it at United and been relatively successful with that formation. So, I don't know. He's capable of doing it, but it means a big fix to do it. Marshall will need to leave in January probably. Yeah, again, I think that's probably... I mean, for the money he's on as well, you get rid of a few players, you probably free up $500,000 in wages without much effort, to be honest. Can Ole be capable to start an unbeaten run, which he's truly capable of, to silence the doubters? Yes. It doesn't feel like it right now, because it doesn't feel like anything's going for us, but he's shown in the past how good he is at doing that sort of thing, so I think he's capable of doing it. I wouldn't call it lightly, though. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're definitely going to do that, because I don't think we're going to do that, but I definitely think he's capable. Thought Donny would have been good to bring on to handle the pressure of the press against Leicester. Feel for the guy. Yeah, it just defensively, especially against a midfield like with the threats of Maddison and both Iheanacho and Vardy, you're gonna have so much in and around you that you got to deal with, and I just don't think he's got that. Rebecca has just joined, as well as Julio. Thank you. And Rebecca's got a question. I know we all love Ronaldo coming back, but what exactly did he do on Saturday? He had quite a few shots. I think he probably could have done better with a couple of the chances that were created for him. But maybe we didn't create enough. He did manage to get a few shots off, but yeah, he's going to have poor games, isn't he? Everyone's going to have poor games. It felt like, Saturday could have been a big culmination of that, I imagine. Righty, I'm probably going to wrap it up there, but cheers for tuning in. As always, really appreciate the support of everybody. I might end up doing some of these lives during the week a little bit more often. It saves on editing time, and I do like chatting to the more sensible amongst you. So say thanks for stopping by. If you're doing nothing right now and you do want to be picked up a little bit by watching a team in red that actually can come back and win a game, then please go and check out Stretford Paddock on the Stretford Paddock FC channel. Check out the last game, 2nd versus 3rd in the league. Bloody good performance from the lads. We're up to 2nd. The only team to beat us are the team that are above us in the league. And season's going very well. Really enjoying the learning that I'm doing on there. And I think the football looks fantastic. So if you want to go and check it out, then go check it out. But cheers for tuning in, as usual. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Laters.